This is extremely good for the Edmonton Oilers, as reports surrounding Oilers prospect Matt Savoie have indicated he will take a huge step going into next season, and this has Oilers fans absolutely fired up for what he is going to bring to the team. Hello everyone, welcome back to Oilers Digest. My name is Nikash Ganguli. Hope everyone is having an amazing day and amazing time whenever you are watching or listening to this. It has been an eventful offseason for the Edmonton Oilers, making some trades and signings. But today we are talking about Matt Savoie, their blue chip A-plus prospect, and what he will be bringing to the team coming next year, because they are going to need him down the stretch. But before we get into what Matt Savoie is going to do, especially for the Oilers penalty kill, make sure you guys do, of course, subscribe to the channel. We are at 80% of viewers who are not subscribed. So if you want to join that subscribe section and get our videos in your subscription box right when they come out, scroll down below. It's free. It's easy. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, and you'll get all the Oilers content in the most digestible fashion here on Oilers Digest. So without further ado, let's get straight into this article that came out today regarding Matt Savoie from the NHL website. Matt Savoie poised to take a big step and nail down roster spot with Oilers. Opening is available on penalty kill for the two-way forward prospect. So obviously this is huge for the Edmonton Oilers, because they did lose a big penalty killer in Connor Brown, who left the team. He was a big impact for them on that side of the ice. Now we know his offensive output left a little bit more to be desired, especially for Oilers fans. I mean, especially in that first year and the second year, I felt like he was a lot better, but they're going to need to fill that role for cheaper than what Connor Brown was going to do, and hopefully Matt Savoie will end up actually being that guy for them. Now, we know Matt Savoie is going to be, put in the top 6 ideally for the Oilers, play with Draisaitl, get some reps there offensively, but Kris Knoblauch said he didn't really see him on the year. If we look at his quote from this article, it says, "With Savoie, the one thing I'm very optimistic about is penalty kill and how good he was in Bakersfield in that role." Oilers coach Kris Knoblauch said he didn't really have any penalty kill time when he was with us in his 4-game call-up, of course, but certainly we saw him being a reliable two-way player at 5-on-5. The opportunity for Savoie is on the penalty kill. Not that he can't be on the power play, but I definitely see him being a big part of our penalty kill. So it does seem like the power play is pretty, intact, as we know it is. It's, the typical Oilers players that we see. And then, he does make a point about him being decent in Bakersfield. But again, if we do kind of look at Bakersfield's penalty kill numbers, which I was able to find, they were 26th in the league. Really not that great out of 32. Not amazing. 79%. But again, it's the AHL, so you might look at it a little differently. It's just a different league at the end of the day. So maybe Savoie was contributing individually. It is a developmental league at the end of the day. So maybe take this with a grain of salt, but I thought it would be something interesting to bring up, given how Knoblauch was raving about his play down in Bakersfield on the penalty kill. Their penalty kill just really wasn't that good. So maybe it's not all Savoie's fault. I'm sure it isn't, because it's it's a team sport at the end of the day. But just something to be mindful of when Kris Knoblauch is bringing that up. And looking at the Edmonton Oilers, I think they could use a little bit of an improvement on the penalty kill. If we do look at their penalty kill this year, it was smack dab in the middle of the league there, 16th. If you look at it, 78%, kind of close to Bakersfield actually. Maybe just the penalty kills in the AHL are just better, because the scoring's pretty low. And the only there was a couple good teams there in the mix with, which was the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Ottawa Senators, who also did make the playoffs. But I think if you're the Edmonton Oilers, you do want to maybe get to the top 10 in penalty kill if you can. And maybe get above that 80% mark. And maybe Matt Savoie can help with that. He is young. He's going to be a little bit faster, has some legs under him. I was reading some of his scouting reports for when he was going to be drafted. He's a pretty decently quick player, and I think that will help on the penalty kill. And I think on his first season, developing him as that two-way kind of player will be huge for the Edmonton Oilers, and he does seem like he does want that to happen. Now, I did kind of want to look at where he would play on the penalty kill. This is from Daily Faceoff, so take it with a grain of salt. Right now, they have the first unit as Nuge, Janmark, Ekholm, Walman. This seems pretty solid for a first penalty kill unit. I know sometimes McDavid and Draisaitl used to get reps on there, but I don't know if that's going to be happening as much just to conserve their ice time. But I don't hate this first unit at all. Janmark and Nuge seem like decent two-way guys, and Nuge has been, put in the role to play, more of a two-way role, given his drop off in raw point production. We know he was an 100-point guy, and now he's, kind of a 60, 70-point guy. In the playoffs, he had a point per game, and then I think he broke his hand or something, so that impacted it. But this is a solid penalty kill unit. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be 2 penalty kill units. You can have more than 2. This is just like how they have it here. And then it's Henrique, Podkolzin, Nurse, Emberson. I could honestly see a Matthew Savoie taking the reins from a Podkolzin on the penalty kill if that's the 4 forwards they're going to roll with. Again, they can always roll with more. It's a fluid situation. It doesn't actually have to be like this. But I can see Matthew Savoie being a hugely important player for the Oilers on the two-way side of the ice, especially if he's going to play a top 6 role. I think that could be big for him. And I think outside of his two-way play, I think he's going to be an amazing offensive contributor. He already did learn a little bit for the Oilers being a black ace on their run to the Stanley Cup Finals. Unfortunately, obviously, they didn't get to win. But if we do look at a quote here from the article, this was about him being on the Black Aces. That was a lot of fun to be a part of. Just being around it and being around the rink while they were going through that run. It's motivating and makes you want to make the team and be a contributor next year. I think for me, it shows how close you are and how close you can be. It has a lot of motivation for me and a lot of fuel to the fire. But I think it's good to see someone as young as Matthew Savoie really wanting it as much as he does. And I think seeing the Oilers really lock in for that Stanley Cup Finals run, again, unfortunately they didn't win, but that could have a big impact on someone who's as young as him. Just seeing how the players go about it. He did have another quote in our call which I didn't mention, where he tried to stay away from McDavid and Draisaitl because they were too locked in on obviously playing. But he said he did learn a lot from how they carry themselves and how they go to the rink every day. They play so well. They play so hard. And I think that could rub off on someone like him. I don't know if he's going to be able to take, the skill assets of McDavid or Draisaitl, because those guys are 2 of the best players in the NHL, arguably the 2 best. But, if you can take on the mannerisms or just, how they carry themselves, I think that could be huge for a young player like Matthew Savoie going into next season for the Edmonton Oilers. And, of course, just a little bit on Matthew Savoie before we do get out of here. Again, it says Matthew Savoie on Hockey Reference. It might be Savoie, but I'm going off what Hockey Reference is saying. They're usually pretty right on that stuff. If we do look at his bio here, again, on a league min rookie deal, only 21 years old. He's a little bit small at 5'9". So we'll see how he does in that stature. But he is super skilled, and a former 9th overall pick came over in the Ryan McLeod trade. So I think he's gonna be very solid for them. And yeah, and he's from Alberta, which I actually am just finding out now that I'm reading this. So I think that that will be a little bit more of a motivator for him going into next season. And then if we do kind of look at his stats here, he did have a decent season in Bakersfield, 54 points in 66 games. Again, we kind of do want him to be a point-a-game player, but in the AHL, it's not that easy. It's a low-scoring league. As we saw by the penalty kills, they're all in a pretty high, 79%-ish rating. So I don't mind it at all, and I think Savoie is going to be great for them. I'm actually pretty excited to watch what he's going to do, especially him and Ike Howard. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see what those two do for the Edmonton Oilers next year, and where they can actually fit into the lineup will be interesting as well. You can see them play all over the lineup. Kris Knoblauch does have, a decent amount of solid, hopefully playable wingers that he can move around the lineup rather than just attempting to do Corey Perry on the first line again. No disrespect to Corey Perry, but he was older. I mean, he's gone now, but hopefully you won't have to do something like that again. The forward lines to me are decently deep. I can pull them up here. Ike Howard, McDavid, Hyman. Again, this is just spitballing, I guess. Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Savoie, Frederick, Nugent-Hopkins, Mangiapane, Janmark, Henrique, Kasperi Kapanen. I think if Adam Henrique is your 4th line center, you're in a good spot. And I like the way this whole roster looks. I don't know if these are going to be the exact lines, but turning Nuge into a 3C, I think, is also really smart if he's getting a little bit older. The injuries are impacting him, and his point production drop-off is happening. You could see him kind of getting to a lower role, playing less minutes, but also that could prolong his career. And I think Matthew Savoie with Draisaitl would be a perfect combination. They're both okay two-way players from my point of view. And I think Savoie learning from those guys, being on the ice with them, learning how they play, learning how they see the game, is going to be huge for them. So, everyone, let me know in the comments what you guys think of Matthew Savoie coming in and how good he's going to be. Let me know if you think he'll make an impact on the penalty kill and how his first season will go. Do you think he'll score a lot of goals, have a lot of assists, or really be known as a Swiss Army knife two-way type players? So let me know what you think about that in the comments. And, of course, we'll see you in the next video. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, and have a good one. Peace out.